Good evening, I'm Daniel Sparkman in for Claire Huddleston tonight. Thank you for joining us. New at 10 tonight, the Tuscaloosa City Board of Education has approved a contract for Superintendent Paul McKendrick. At a meeting tonight, the board approved a $195,000 a year salary for Dr. McKendrick. His contract officially begins on September 1st, but starting next week, he will work on an interim basis 2 to 3 days a week. The board also approved several other personnel changes at tonight's meeting. Alabama's Secretary of State is making history. Beth Chapman has been inducted as president of the National Association of Secretaries of State. Chapman will serve as president through July 2012. It's the second time an Alabama Secretary of State has held the position. The association announced this week it has selected Alabama native and former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice for a prestigious award. Rice has received the Margaret Chase Smith American Democracy Award. Rice grew up in Birmingham, and she was nominated by Secretary of State Chapman. Officials at Tuskegee University will begin cleaning up tomorrow after a fire damages a dorm. The fire, believed to be caused by lightning, caused serious damage to the large West Commons Apartments, a dormitory-style building. Large flames and smoke rolled out of the dorm this evening. It is believed that the building was empty because school is out, but that could not be confirmed with officials at the university. No injuries have been reported at this time. Several hundred Tuscaloosa residents are without power at this hour. The last we heard, Alabama Power officials said straight-line winds this evening downed several power poles, and about 1,100 customers in the Tuscaloosa area were without power, and 1,500 in all of West Alabama. Crews are in the process of getting the power back on, and no word on when that will happen. We saw those storms earlier today, but can we expect more tonight? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. Richard?
Hey Daniel, good Thursday night to you. You're kind of catching a break in the rain across the western half of the state from Birmingham and south and westward right now, even towards Montgomery, but some big storms still happening this evening in northeast Alabama. Major flash flooding issues happening between Anniston, Gaston, about 2 to 5 inches of rain falling in the northeastern part of the state. But again, here in our western half of the state, we're dry right now. We're going to stay dry for much of the night. I still think we could see a stray shower or storm overnight from Tuscaloosa down to Marengo County. But again, many of us do not see the rain overnight. But again, good chances of rain are back at the forecast over the weekend. Here's that sneak peek of the weekend forecast. Rain chance between 40 and 60% all the way through Sunday. But what about the rest of that forecast? Home team weather is coming up.
With the debt ceiling deadline looming, political leaders hope to accomplish today what they haven't done in the past 4 straight days, reach a deal. But as Emily Schmidt reports from Washington, the talk before the meeting sounded more divided than united.
4 straight days of negotiations have leaders in Washington at their boiling point.
For a guy we all thought was no drama Obama, it sounds like a pretty dramatic meeting.
During Wednesday's meeting, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor says he and President Obama squared off over the Republicans' call for a short-term extension on the federal debt ceiling. He says the president responded with, "Don't call my bluff."
The president sort of told the entire group that this is exactly what Americans think of as Washington at its worst. Washington catering to the base, catering to politics, putting their own political future ahead of doing important things and taking on the big issues.
Democrats and Republicans have locked horns over proposed tax increases and budget cuts in the measure.
What's at issue at the moment is getting a deal done. And I think, as unfortunately so often happens in Washington, something small, something temporary, and something that both sides are unhappy about is probably what will ensue.
The president shows no sign of backing down.
I do have it confirmed that this president really did say, with my presidency at stake, I will not yield on this issue.
An agreement must be reached by the August 2nd deadline. If not, Washington will lack the money to pay its bills, which analysts say could cause interest rates to skyrocket and the value of the dollar to decline. I'm Melissa Raines reporting.
The United States has 2 Dakotas, 2 Carolinas, and 2 Virginias. Now there's a growing push to add 2 Californias. Thelma Gutierrez reports on a secession drive that would split the Golden State in 2.
You really have to try hard. You really have to be an idiot to screw up the state of California.
We have hit a nerve with citizens that are just fed up with business as usual in the state.
You want to secede the state of California. I sure hope you don't want to be governor. It's this kind of citizen outrage in Riverside, California that's fueling one of the most radical political ideas to recently surface in the Golden State.
I'm talking about a secession plan from the state of California.
That's right, a 51st state called the state of Southern California. County Supervisor Jeff Stone says secession may be the only way to get Riverside County and 12 other largely politically conservative counties back on track.
What the state has done is that they've been balancing their budgets on the backs of our local coffers. They've been stealing our sales tax, our property tax.
Stone says the state has turned its back on his constituents who've been hit hard by a tough economy.
The bottom line for me and my constituents is jobs. We are sending jobs out of the state of California by the trainload. We have some areas of this county that have 25% unemployment. The average in Riverside County is about 15%. Foreclosures, we're the foreclosure capital of the world.
If the state won't work with local government, Stone says he'll rally the troops to part ways.
Insanity. I mean, this is major surgery where maybe we need a Band-Aid.
Political science professor Robert Melch says secession won't fix a thing and will cost a fortune to take to the voters.
It takes millions of dollars to get the signatures necessary to put up an initiative, and more millions to sell it. Where's that money coming from? He hasn't addressed the cost, the establishment of a new government. Where are we going to put the capital? Disneyland?
Even when you came up with this idea of secession, you had to have known that it was a radical one for which you would be criticized.
Right. Listen, I know I'd be criticized. I've learned in my tenure of being a public official for 19 years that sometimes you have to do some pretty outrageous things to get people's attention. Now listen, I'm not discounting the fact that secession is a possibility.
Judging by this pile of emails Jeff Stone showed me, overwhelmingly in support of his idea, he may have hit a nerve with disenchanted Californians.
In less than 2 months, America will commemorate the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. And today, the flag that was hung amid the devastation of Ground Zero made its way to Washington, D.C. Family members of 9/11 victims, along with several members of Congress, put stitches in the flag. It's being put back together with retired American flags from all 50 states. Once completed, it will be put in the September 11th Memorial Museum in New York City. A UA student made her television debut on reality TV show tonight. Sweet Home Alabama debuted tonight on CMT. It stars Devin Grissom, who is a student at the Capstone. 20 guys compete for her love and attention. Grissom said getting to know 20 potential suitors at one time is a hard thing to do, but it was fun. The show was shot in Fairhope, Alabama, and will run for 8 episodes.